Give me 1 second. And
Ooh, so nervous.
we can. Okay. And
Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everyone tuning in live. That's right. You heard it right. We are live for the very first time on the UNI Today show on season 2 on sports. And the reason we're doing this is because we want to allow sports fans, well, in particular, or at the very least, this particular episode, football fans, to have good, friendly football banter with all our guests on our show in a safe and positive manner. Very much like how you guys would go on a mamak pre-COVID times, watch the match, and then just have all the punditry at the mamak itself. Now, in true UNI Today fashion, we're doing this, or we're just doing our part, to push a little bit goodness, a little bit of goodwill and goodness out there in the hopes that we'll be able to bring out the best of what humanity has to offer. Okay, so before we introduce our guests, a couple of housekeeping announcements. The first one for all our so all our viewers tuning in live today. If you'd like to ask your burning questions to all our guests on the show, please comment on the live comment section and not the regular YouTube section at the bottom of this particular YouTube link. Okay. Also, as throughout the course of this show, we will be highlighting the ongoing match between Spurs and Leeds, and we will be publishing the scores as an overlay at the bottom so that you guys won't be missing out on anything as well. Lastly, this one goes out a huge thank you to Roshan Narayan of In20 for recommending StreamYard to us, bro. You've been a godsend, and StreamYard is a godsend as well. Thank you so much, Roshan. Okay, so now that we've got all the housekeeping stuff out of the way, let's go ahead without any further ado to introduce our guests on the show. We have 4 very distinguished, avid, and hardcore English Premier League fans. We have Jeff Sandu, who is apparently right now at Liverpool. And we have Vernon Chun, followed by Jeremy Lim, and last but not least, we have the very animated Dominic Key. So, fellas, you have about 30 seconds to introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit more what you do and the club that you support. Starting with Jeff Sandu. Go.
So I run a coding school for any Malaysians above 18 years old, but I've been a Liverpool fan ever since I was born. I think my entire family is mostly of them are Liverpool. I think my first gift was a Liverpool jersey as well, and it's good to be a Liverpool fan. 2020 was a tough year, but there was one positive highlight in this year, 30 years.
Thank you, Jeff. I guess they're true to Liverpool form. You will never walk alone. Okay, not so much more on Liverpool. Let's go on to Jeremy.
Hi,
Jeremy.
everybody. Hi. So I'm Jeremy Arsenal Lim. I'm a lawyer by profession. I'm also an entrepreneur. I own my own business process outsourcing company. So I've been an Arsenal fan for the past 2 decades. And as you can see, in a way, I'm married to Arsenal. So Arsenal is my second wife. So here we go. Yo.
Thank you very much, Jeremy Arsenal Lim. Luckily, you said second wife for reasons we all know. Okay, moving on. Vernon, why don't you introduce yourself? Go.
I'm Vernon, and I bleed blue for Chelsea. I'm a graphic designer by profession, and I also write a blog at vernonchan.com. and I don't have a middle name, and it's definitely not Chelsea. But I definitely beat blue.
Thank you very much, Vernon. Last but not least, the very animated Dominic Key.
I'm not that animated. Anyways, name's Dominic. I'm a Newcastle fan for as long as I can remember, and I'm also a semi-professional ranter for the Toon Army Malaysia, and I spend most of my time complaining about the club. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much in true Newcastle form. That pretty much wraps up all the guests we have on our panel. All right, so for all our for our viewers out there, these are our 4 panelists, distinguished hardcore EPL fans. And without further ado, this is what we're going to be doing, right? We are going to matches on match week 15 and match week 16. In other words, 2 matches from each of these clubs. So we will be going through just really quickly: Arsenal, Chelsea, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Brighton, Arsenal, Manchester City, Newcastle, and Liverpool. After which, what we'll do, we'll be wrapping up to give predictions from all these guests on match week 17 matches. So get ready your questions, because we are going live right now on the analysis part. Let's start off with the Arsenal-Chelsea match. Okay, so clearly this is a match that would be for Vernon and Jeremy. Just the first question to kick this off, so that we all don't go biting down our necks too soon. Was this a surprise result, Jeremy?
Wow, I can talk whole day or whole week about this match. I can't wait. I can't wait to talk about the match. Surprise, of course, it's a surprise. So all of us, even as Arsenal fan, we didn't expect that result. In fact, all the odds were against us. Even, most of the Chelsea fans would say they will most likely beat us, with a 2-2 to 3-0 scoreline. And most of the football pundits as well. But I was really, taken aback by the performance. It looks like the whole team were possessed by hungry goal spirit. They were so hungry. Yeah.
Actually, just clearly, because I watched the match as well, so clearly Arsenal were the better side, right? But what I want to ask you is, coming into this match, Arsenal were on a 7-game winless streak, right, before this derby happened. So what changed?
I believe it's about the resting of the senior players, like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He did not play. Even, of course, Willian did not play. David Luiz did not play. And, of course, the 3 youngsters. I believe the youngsters step up. The 3 main one would be Martinelli, Bukayo Saka, and also Emily Smith-Rowe. So these 3, they dominated the midfield. I would say so from the start. And of course, they ran tirelessly. And also the number of shots of the game, you can see we had 8 shots on goal. And also at the same time, I think maybe the tactics were done right. There's nothing to lose. To start with, there's nothing to lose. And Arteta, in a way, he knows that his head is on the chopping board. So throwing in the youngsters definitely raised the game to a different level. I wish that we could play Chelsea every week.
Hey,
No.
careful, man.
I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't think we should play every week.
Okay.
You know what? There are actually a few things that we can analyze on that match in terms of tactics. But I want to bring in Vernon on the show a little bit. Vernon, Chelsea were coming into this derby back-to-back on back-to-back away matches, right? Losses. Do you think this played a part in the loss to Arsenal, or was it down more to Chelsea's own demolition?
Well, I think it's one thing to bring your A game and lose, but the problem with Chelsea and the Chelsea of late is that they are far from their A game, and playing at 70%, even with an off-form team, is acceptable at this level, I believe. And to quote Lampard, he said Chelsea were lazy, and I agree with him. And you cannot jog when your opponent is running, right? So, and when you don't do enough, you are going to be falling behind. And it showed in the first half when we gave away a penalty, which was brilliantly converted by Lacazette. And less than 10 minutes later, we gave away a free kick that was superbly executed by Zaka. And I mean, Lampard made the right choice to inject some pace, in the second half in the lineup with Hudson-Odoi coming on and stuff like that. And although I didn't quite agree with Kovacic coming off for Jorginho, and I thought that was a bit weird because Kovacic was having a decent game. So
Right.
but honestly, we gave ourselves
Let's-
too much to do in the second half, and compounded
Okay,
by the third goal.
Just really quickly, the penalty decision, split. People were saying he deserved it. People were saying it was a soft touch. Do you think that if the penalty decision did not go Arsenal's way, that Chelsea would have been in the game after halftime?
I believe not.
It doesn't
I don't
matter
think-
because at most 3-2. Yeah.
I don't think Chelsea
91st
was the better
minute,
side.
the penalty was
Arsenal
at the
was
91st
clearly
minute.
the better side. Yeah, Arsenal was clearly the better
Thanks.
side, and like Jeremy said, they were more hungry for the win, and Chelsea just wasn't 100% present, during the match.
It would have been a nervy 3 minutes if Jorginho would have converted his penalty, because Arsenal was starting to be on the back fence towards the last 10-15 minutes of the game. And I know, if Jorginho would have converted that penalty, I think a draw would have been on the board. Would you think so, Jeremy?
No, not really. You know why? Because Chelsea do not have the Ferguson time, if you get what I mean. I remember very clearly when MU won the
Ferguson
game
hang time.
against Brighton. Yeah, the Ferguson time.
Yeah.
Extra 8 minutes
Ferguson
or 10
time.
minutes. So I still
Just,
strongly believe we wouldn't win a game.
Jeremy, just a correction. Please don't be sacrilegious. It's called Fergie time.
Fergie time, yeah.
Okay.
Please, please. It's dangerous, you say things like that. So.
Okay. Okay, Fergie time. Yeah. But
Or
Chelsea
squeaky
were very
bum time.
contented. Yeah, I the way I see the game, Chelsea were contented because the players know that Arsenal were in worse form. Much worse form than compared to Chelsea's form. So that's why the players they did not really show up for that game.
Fair enough. So I guess
there
there's
was
no.
Yeah, I mean there were some flashes of brilliance, but we were just far from being good. Definitely not the good team that would give Arsenal run for the money on that day.
But I also
For
don't
sure.
mind me if I chip in. I think Chelsea, people have a lot of expectations for Chelsea though, because they bought a lot of players and really bright attacking players. I'm a big fan of Kai Havertz. I think he's really good. Timo Werner, it's not a secret that Liverpool kind of wanted him, and I was kind of hoping that we did kind of go after him a bit more seriously. But it's not easy to blend all these players, and you're seeing this up and down form from Chelsea. You see the brilliance in Chelsea, and we thought that they got it right after the first few games in the league itself, and they were smashing teams, and there was a time that Timo Werner started to score some goals, and me as a Liverpool fan, I thought Chelsea is going to be the main title challengers, and it was going to be scary because they figured it so early on. But then you realize the honeymoon period is over. Eduardo Mendy is doing similar kind of saves as the normal Chelsea goalkeeper would normally do. Timo Werner's not scoring. Kai Havertz is who is he?
Not
Where is he?
present.
It's like so. I think Chelsea. If this game were to play it again, I will put my money on Chelsea, because I think that is the kind of Chelsea that you get. It's always a toss of the coin. Whereas with Arsenal, I think it was just that one-off game. I really still have doubts about Arsenal, because if you look at the squad, it was really young, and they were really hungry. There was some, and Arsenal have always had these great young players. But can they sustain this, or can they go on a run like 10 games, unbeaten run? I don't know if Arsenal can do that. So I think it was just it was on the cards that Arsenal was going to do something. Chelsea was just the wrong team at that day, and they just kind of took it .
Yeah, I think Jeff, you brought up a very good point. Because if Chelsea were to play Arsenal a game, with the same form they did against Villa, I think Arsenal wouldn't have,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have
Yeah.
gotten,
I would agree.
that
Yeah,
same
I would agree.
scoreline.
Slightly
So, on
controversial, just
Right.
2 cents for me. I actually disagree with quite a lot of that. I actually think that I'm a huge United fan, of course, but always a lover of good football first. And I think the reason Arsenal did well was because they had to. I think there's this thing that Jose Mourinho used to do with Chelsea during his, I think it's his second spell when everyone used to knock him. He kind of go into the public arena and actually say that his team was this and that. And what I think he was doing internally was he was giving the siege mentality. He was telling everyone in his team, the world hates us. We have to do this. And I think that's what actually happened because I think no matter who they put on the pitch on Arsenal that day, they would have won because they had to prove a point. If you look at some of the tweets from Sacco and a few others after that, there were a lot of things around the rhetoric of you see this is what we could do. It's not what people say. It's what is the performance we put on. It's things like they were trying to prove a point. So I actually think, and not because I support Arsenal, I actually think they're going to go on a run the next few games because they've got an opportunity to, right? With all due respect, the next 5 or 6 opponents are reasonably,
Yeah. Easy.
well, I wouldn't say easy because the Premier League is ridiculous, right? Everyone's hard, right? We just
Yeah.
suffered against Sevilla and Wolves, so. But I think they've got a good chance. Whereas I think if the next game was against United or City, they'd be questioning themselves again, right? The
but
self-doubt
Arsenal
would
has-
come in again.
They have dressing room issues, right? I think it's not a surprise that you see David Luiz and the manager has issues. I mean, the Ozil issue is still looming in the air. Will he register
Yeah.
him now and stuff? So the senior players have issues, and it's tough, right? Because you look at Arteta; he's not that much older than the senior players in the squad. So
Right.
he's kind of like playing this, apparently the rumor has it is that he tells the players to actually call him by his name, Mikel or Arteta. Unlike, if you are a manager, you would call them boss. You don't hear another player calling the manager by the first name, right?
Yeah.
So I think Arteta's style is interesting. But yeah, it's going to be fun to see Arsenal
That's a
and
good
Chelsea,
point.
right? Both very different teams. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We have 8 more
it'll be
games
nice.
to prove all of you wrong. So you said 10 games, right?
10 games, yeah.
8 more games to go.
Yeah, can put 2 in the pocket.
Yeah, Arsenal, don't talk so much first. Your next game is against West Brom, okay? You know what West Brom did in their previous game, okay? Yeah, Jeff is laughing because he knows why.
Oh man, I
Okay.
tell you. Let's
So
not
before
go through that game.
we will because that's actually on match week 15 and 16. But I tell you what, let's just I wanna take that conversation a little bit more in terms of the change of pace that Chelsea injected against Villa. Compared to the Arsenal game, do you think that Chelsea learned from their mistakes? And if so, what did you like about the way they approached the game, Vernon?
It was definitely a different Chelsea that played Villa. There were like 6 changes to the lineup, and although I think the challenge for Chelsea and a lot of the Premiership teams is the hectic schedule, and I mean it's really tough to have 2 matches in 2 days, and it's tough to put the same team, or even if it's a winning team, for 2 consecutive matches, and I think it's also a question of whether Lampard knows his best 11 or whether he can get the best of the selection. But I personally thought it was a solid first 11, and the lineup aside, I think it was also a better Chelsea that played the guys. And the bottom line is the work rate was better, and if being lazy is considered learning from mistakes, I think the answer is yes. Yeah. So
Totally agree. I was going to say totally agreed with your assessment. The way Chelsea approached the game versus the Arsenal match, right? They were hungry. They were hungry to prove a point, and the changes that Lampard made as well. I think they were they made an impact in the game. But you look at the stats, right? Chelsea had 2/3 the possession, 2.5 times more corners, 2.5 times more shots on target, but they managed a draw. They only managed a draw. Do you think what happened, and do you think it's a fair result?
I wouldn't say it's a fair result, but like I always like to say, the ball is round and anything can happen in football, right? And I think Chelsea was a little bit unlucky in having this result and having dominated play, especially what they showed in the first half. I think it was really it was a solid first half, and really they deserved a couple more goals than the one that Oli G scored. Yeah, thanks Arsenal. But I mean, credit to Villa for being the hardworking, organized side that they are, and but I really felt that Chelsea deserved the 3 points. Yeah, based on at least the first half.
There were okay. I personally don't know any Villa hardcore fans, right?
No, neither do
But
I.
the way I
I
saw
didn't
the
know Newcastle
match,
also.
the way I saw
Until this.
the match,
Yeah,
right? Jack Grealish. I mean, that name comes up against many other teams to haunt them after the game, right? People will say that on paper this team is better than the other team by 10 times, but then just one person, similar to how Eden Hazard used to do for Chelsea. Jack Grealish was tormenting our Chelsea's right side, and the only reason why we couldn't feel Rhys James was because clearly he wasn't injured, and they put in a veteran. And our friend SP was really too slow to cope with Jack Grealish's technical ability and pace. He was tormented. Do you think that played a part into the result, a well-earned result by Villa's perspective?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and I think while Chelsea's back four is pretty solid, I would say. SE is slow, and Christensen actually seemed a little shaky, to be honest, on the right side as well, both of them, and that could be also why Grealish was attacking Chelsea's right side. That's what I believe, anyway. What I observed during the game.
I think Rhys's time to be fit, can't come fast enough for Chelsea for the next game. I think he will sit that one out as well. So I think overall, we agreed that the score is 1-1. Chelsea could have done better and probably nicked away with the 3 points. Any other points of interest from the other pundits besides Vernon before we move on to the next game?
I think let's not forget that Aston form has been improving. The past few games after when they lost, I think quite badly. Can't remember against which team. So you can see them improving, and I believe so. This season is a good season for them. Maybe in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean Aston Villa, what a team, right? Like last year, they were battling relegation, and look at them this year, man. I think Liverpool fans will know Aston Villa for the wrong reasons, being on the wrong end of a 7-goal defeat, 7-2 if I'm not mistaken. But Aston Villa look really strong this year. I think they're good shouts for at least a Europa League spot. If they can keep this run going, I think they the team looks really well balanced. There is you've got your superstar, Jack Grealish, but it's not flamboyant kind of style. It's just hard work. You look at them; they run non-stop. They pressure the teams really good. When we played them, they really gave us a torrid time because we hardly could even keep the ball for longer than 2 seconds, right? And that's what they seem to do with every other team. Can they continue this on? Because it's, Vernon has said it's a very, difficult season. Games are coming in thick and fast, right? Almost every 3 days they're playing a game now. So stamina is going to come into play. But Aston Villa could do, what Leicester did a few seasons ago, but not obviously winning the league. But I think they could push for a top 6. I think they're in there for a shout. I think they're like they're like 8th now at the moment, but a game behind. So if they win that game, they're like 3rd or 4th or something like that. So I mean, we've seen stranger things.
It's pretty remarkable, actually, Jeff. I think I completely agree with you on they've got not like the fantasy football is any indication, but it is a reflection, right? And the Opta Index, they've got Martinez, who's been doing phenomenally well.
Thanks to Arsenal again. Thanks to Arsenal.
Great contributor to English football. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
in the immortal words of Jose Mourinho, when he first, I think his first speech, he's got so many quotes, right? When he was apparently being very defensive and he went, I don't know how you guys build houses in England, but in Portugal, we start with the foundation, right? And he was going about how so when you, especially in teams which are well balanced, they don't have the superstars up front.
Yeah.
I think when you have a good shot stopper, when you have a reasonably good defense, it gives the bravery to the front guys to kind of do a bit more. It just gives you that confidence. And I think they've been doing that, right? They've not been flying, but very consistent so far. So, the Premiership as well. If you look at the top 10, like you said, Jeff, right? It's within 1 or 2 games. Someone who's lying in 10th could fly up to 3rd at the moment. It's a fantastic season, right?
Very open. This season's very open.
Very close.
I actually think
very open.
on for a different one of these talks, but I actually think the lack of fans has something to do with that. There's no longer a pressure for away games. An away game is the same as a home game.
Or home games for that matter, you know.
All right, so but it's arguable.
Especially at
That's a
Anfield.
good point.
Okay, speaking of which, I want to ask you, Jeremy, the Brighton and Arsenal match, right? Brighton were winless in their past 6 games coming to the clash with Arsenal. And you would think that it would be a walk in the park for Arsenal. But they scraped through. Brighton actually had chances to equalize or even win the game as well. What do you take on that?
To start with, never walk through. Why so? If you look at the stats, for the past 5 head-to-head, Brighton won 3 games and drew 2. So Brighton, they are some sort like our boogie team with their strong players overpowering us, not in the midfield, but in the defense. So to start with, I never thought that we would win the game, most likely a draw at best. So even in terms of the shots on target, we had better chances. Clear-cut chances, In terms of shots, yes, Brighton, they could have equalized, but I don't think so they will win the game. It was never a walk in the park to start with. The way
why do you think that was, though? Brighton came into the game all guns flailing. They were toe-to-toe with Arsenal. Like you correctly mentioned, they split possession with Arsenal down right the middle. They even had more corners in the game than Arsenal. Did you think that this was a result of Arsenal not being assertive, or was it up to Brighton's own intuition?
Maybe it's because of the players show their fatigueness after playing like 2 games in 2 games in 3 days. We had the same squad except Aubameyang started the game, and Lacazette. That's why he came on and he scored the winning goal. So maybe perhaps that played a role. Having said that, whether they were assertive, I do believe they were assertive. That's the reason why we had more clear-cut chances.
Now, Aubameyang started this game, but let's not forget Martinelli and Saka. They were instrumental in the previous game before coming into Brighton game, right? Do you think they gelled well, or rather Aubameyang gelled well with Martinelli and Saka? Because Aubameyang has always been favored to play on the left, and now Martinelli it seems to be favoring that role, right? So did you think that they played like an instrumental role, even though Arteta brought back Aubameyang to the squad against Brighton?
Yes, definitely. Saka and Martinelli. Martinelli last season, he was a wonder kid. If not mistaken, against Chelsea, right? He made a run similar to what Walcott did many years ago. And also Saka, of course. Saka has been improving leaps and bounds to such extent where he's getting the number 7 at the age of 19. So Martinelli and Saka both 19, running the midfield and also at the wings, providing crosses and playing like there's nothing to lose at all. So that's definitely one of the game changer. And Martinelli was out injured for so many months. He came back, gave the right pace, as in the injection of pace to the team, and of course to motivate the team as well. But let's not forget also our defense with Rob Holding and also Pablo Mari, being the center at the center back. Replacing David Luiz, of course. So at the end of the day, I believe that Arsenal were the better team. So as what Jose Mourinho say, it doesn't matter how many possession you got. It's about the scoreline. It's about the goals that win the game.
Jose Mourinho wouldn't have said that. Jose Mourinho would have said the better team lost, okay?
Yeah.
I think we all can agree that an Arsenal win was on the cards for this one. It was pretty much a fair result. Any guys want to say anything else before we go to the much anticipated Manchester City and Newcastle? Okay, very good. I see.
Let's go to that
I
one.
see this. Let's go with that one then. Okay, Dominic, let's bring you in on this one. So, City were fifth after this win. They appear to be so far off their clinical execution of seasons past. Why do you think Newcastle could not capitalize on this?
It's a loaded one, Dom. It's a loaded question.
He laughs first. He laughs first. Okay.
Can I have a few seconds
good.
for a disclaimer? First thing, I'm honored to be in a bunch, to be together with a bunch of you folks. All of you seem very knowledgeable about football. I am not. Okay, referring to what Ryan said, he's it's a Manchester fan, but he's a fan of good football. I'm kind of the opposite. I don't know anything about football. Everything about me is Newcastle. So it's actually a bad time to have me talk about this because I'm actually very angry. I'm actually incredibly angry at the situation. If you guys know the best stats, right? That idiot of a manager decided to go with a ridiculously defensive formation, which is against anything we ever stood for. Okay, you don't play 5-4-1 against Manchester, hoping to park a bus that you don't even own. Right, so nothing he did made sense. There are some bright spots in the game. Sharon Clark, I'm a fan of Fabian Shah, which is where the Toonami Malaysia people are a bit divided. I'm a fan of Shah, Clark, Shah. I'm a big fan of Yedlin, and it's good to see him start. Okay, but we've got a terribly weak midfield. We've got I don't like Hayden. Murphy is okay. Almiron is misplayed. Longstaff is decent. I don't know what Matt Ritchie is doing in defense, right? He's, I think, the left back, if I'm not wrong, right? And putting Joe Linton forward as a lone striker is tragic. So everything they did was wrong. Okay, and one of your questions, the trigger question in your little email that you sent me, right, was that was that a fair score? Okay, it's not a fair score for City. Okay, City probably played shittily. They could have played better. Okay, but it was terrible. The 20% possession. Nobody plays with 27% possession and expect to go anywhere in a. Okay, if I go any further.
Okay. Hold on, Dominic. Just before we go to whether this is a fair. Yeah.
No, before you say anything, I just want you to know, way before the game, I was fighting with the other Toonami guys. I was telling them 20% possession, 2 shots on target. Okay, and I actually called that before the game, by the way. So
I know that's a good shout out because outside of this show we actually talk a lot about football as well, about Newcastle and Chelsea and how they fare. So I know that you come true with your predictions, but I want to go back a little bit more to what you said against the game against City. You mentioned that our Newcastle's midfield is weak, right? Why do you think? I mean, to be fair to the Toonami, you have a fully fit midfield selection to choose from now, if I may say so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but why do you think Steve Bruce hasn't gotten the connection or the selection correct for your midfield?
It's not so much this. Okay, wait. Okay, this requires a longer and more angrier discussion than an hour we have online. Long story short, we've got ineffective midfielders. We've got midfielders placed in the wrong position. Like Almiron has been played wrong for most of the season, in my opinion. Of course, people can they can beg to differ, right? But I don't really care. Almiron has been played wrongly. Longstaff is solid, but he's not being developed properly. And the worst of the lot must be Shelby. Okay, it's like we've got a love and hate relationship with Shelby. I hate it when he's not there, but when he's there, I hate what he's doing because it's just lazy, right? And literally in the City game, they put what's his name, Federico Fernandez. He captain from the back. And he's not a midfield guy. So we need Shelby, but when Shelby's there, I'm really angry.
Ex-Liverpool player, right?
He's just lazy, right? And Almiron should be doing a Henry, right? He should be doing a Henry. He can do it. He's got the strength. He's got the pace. And I have no idea what Joe Linton is doing in front. Worst case, you play Almiron behind Joe Linton and Wilson, right? That's okay. We got someone who's forward moving, but he plays Joe Linton in front, and Joe Linton is not clinical. He doesn't have the confidence at the moment. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but it's not a good time for him. And Bruce is not doing his part.
I stand corrected because one of the more animated players for Newcastle right now is Maximilian, right? And I think he's on the injured list at the moment.
Yeah. Don't remind me. That's pretty shitty.
But Dom, just a quick one as well, right? Sorry, it's a painful time, right? But I know you and I have talked about this offline, but I know your lack of love, to put it mildly, for the current manager. But if that was changed for anyone you think is suitable, do you think, apart from the whole kind of psychological boost when a new manager comes in, everyone's proved themselves, apart from that effect, do you think that is the single biggest change that could have an effect now, or do you think it is more about the team need to kick up their butts, or do you think personnel need to be changed? Is it an overhaul or is it a tweak, do you think, in terms of get the manager going and then see what happens? Just
That's an easy answer for any fan. It has to be a club-wide tweak, because the problem actually is from Ashley downwards. Because Ashley brought in Keegan for a short while, but he messed everything up, right? Ashley had good managers under him, and he messed up. He doesn't want to pump in the money. He wants to keep us in the Premier League to get his 6-7 million pound spot. Was that
Sports Direct?
No. That's that they get if they play the games on. Never mind. It's okay. They've got some. If you're in the Premier League, you get like £7 million or something like that. From the TV rights.
Sponsorship money, TV rights.
TV money.
Yeah. So all he wants to do is keep the team in the Premier League, and that's what he's got Bruce to do. Okay. I've said many times before, Bruce seems like a nice guy. I don't know him personally, but the players love him. Compared to Benitez is a bit of an asshole, but he was a good manager. But Steve Bruce is a nice guy, right? But I don't know what he's doing wrong, but he's not doing it right. You can't play every game with 20% possession and expect to go anywhere. I think recently I shared a picture online about how, in terms of Premier League stats, Newcastle was 20th in all the stats. And I'm not surprised. I've been calling it from the beginning of the season. That's exactly how we played. And like I said, when you talk about, in 2 matches away, what we're going to talk about, I'm going to say the same thing I've said before. We rely too much on other teams playing badly in order for us to win.
Okay, let's not jump the gun here, because I'm pretty sure that Jeff and you have a lot to say about the Newcastle-Liverpool match. We'll go into that in a couple of matches. Any of you guys have anything to say about what Dominic has mentioned about Newcastle and the way Ashley has set up his organization and the team before we move on?
Who the hell plays?
It's been years.
It's
been years in the making, though. But Mike Ashley and the Newcastle issue, right? It's been so many years, man. Wasn't there a point of time where you guys were nearly bought over by someone, and then he kind of stepped in and he decided not to sell or something? Was it like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or something, right?
No, that was months ago.
Months ago. Yeah, I mean, it kind of happens like almost every season where he puts it up for sale and then gets some interest and then he backs out. But Newcastle, it's a pity to see this has been ongoing for so many years. Ideally, they're in a really bad state. I think I saw that stat as well, where almost in every stat they're like at the bottom. I don't want to see them relegated, and also I don't think they will be relegated. I think they are worst teams on the field at the moment this season. But yeah, Newcastle, tough times, but you see they can pull a result.
Yeah.
If
Our
they
relegation years were our best years. Our relegation years were the best years. You should see. You go to YouTube now. Check out the videos of Tyneside celebrating their promotion to the Premier League. Just watch that video. They're crazy. They literally burned down half the country celebrating. Okay.
The just the one point before we go to the next game is I think there is one, I would say, silver lining, because I don't think he's going to be able to improve the whole team. But there was one player who I personally thought, when I watched the game, did spectacularly well and has been doing really well with Newcastle and also Nottingham Forest before he joined Newcastle, which was Dallo, right, in goal. I thought he was
Yeah.
freaking
Yeah.
phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
He just doesn't
Darlow's
have the right defense around him, but he's been exceptional.
actually he's got something to prove, lah. So he's
Mm.
doing it. I mean, Dubravka must be pissing himself right now, right? So Daryl's got something to prove, and he's doing a decent job.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, the 5-4-1 had a nice back. Okay, Ciaran Clark is pretty solid. I've always liked Yedlin. I don't know why he was out for so long. Partly injury, partly benched. But I've always liked Yedlin. I don't like many Americans, but Yedlin is decent, right? And having what Matt Ritchie at the back, I don't know why, but and of course Shah.
Yeah, as an Arsenal fan, I do share the same sentiment as Dom. At the end of the day, it's about the owner. You have your Mike Ashley, we have our Stan Kroenke. Who needs money, that's all. Who's looking at money.
I don't
That's
think
why I say we need to change the board. Yeah.
I don't think there's a bigger asshole than the EPL than Ashley.
Okay, maybe Stan Kroenke will be the second. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I tell you what.
Jeremy to join. I'm still waiting for Jeremy to join the Arsenal board. Yeah. So
Yeah. Hopefully one day.
Jeff, you haven't heard
that would
this
be a
yet,
good
Jeff, but
proposal.
in the previous episode, when we were usually typically when we do the recorded shows, we ask everyone to come up with a magic wand answer. So if you could change anything in the world, what would it be? And Jeremy was to actually be a member of the Arsenal board so that he could change Arsenal from within. So that's why so he didn't want
Go,
to change
Jeremy.
Arsenal. He wanted to be
Support
on
you.
the board so he could change it. So.
Cheers.
It's a good
You,
wish.
you know, you know what? On that note, because we were already talking about Liverpool and Newcastle, anyways, why don't we just go to that match first? Because I want to hear Jeff's and Dominic's opinion on this game. Because I believe Newcastle actually played differently in this game than they did against City.
You want me to go? I think, yeah, I got nothing much to say from a Liverpool point of view. I mean, it's just one of those where it feels like every time Liverpool come out against this kind of oppositions, the goalkeeper pulls off this world-class save after save after save. But, at the end of the day, I think Newcastle deserve a point. I don't think Liverpool played well enough to actually, say that we deserve all 3 points. I think Newcastle really put in a shift. Yeah, they were, defensive minded, but actually they themselves were going for it as well. It could have been on any other day. It could have been like a 4-4, a typical Liverpool Newcastle kind of game. It was a very entertaining 0-0 draw. I think goalkeeper was superb. Liverpool we have this issue where I think the injuries are really kicking us now at the moment. Thiago is only coming back, but he came on only at like the 80th minute or 75th minute or something like that. So you can't really expect a player like him to change the game that late. Defense, I mean, gosh, we have no recognized centre back at the moment. Everyone is out. We have Fabinho, who is a center defender. A central defensive midfielder. But my God, he's playing that role like he's been playing there forever.
Right.
He's really good. But the rest of it, the kids. I mean, we're playing Nate Phillips, and sometimes we play with Rhys Williams, and these are kids, man. These are 19-year-old kids playing. Almost expecting them to do week in, week out. We got to do something in January. We got to buy not a first team starter when everyone's back, because I think that will disrupt the harmony. But at least a senior, like what Chelsea did, right? They just got on and bought Thiago Silva, right? And because they know it's a short-term fix. We need to find a suitable replacement, a long-term replacement, but we need someone at the moment. Liverpool need this short-term fix as well. We need someone experienced to be able to hold the lines up, to have that communications, because can you imagine you're 19 years old and you're going to be screaming at players like Robertson and Trent, to tell them where to go forwards and backwards. They ain't going to be, you won't have that courage, that guts, right? So thankfully we kept it 0-0. Alisson pulled off some great saves as well. So 0-0, it was a deserved draw. Newcastle could have won as well. So yeah.
And Jeff, do you think these kind of like these players that come in, do you see them as genuinely needing to improve the squad as a whole, or do you see them more as necessary because of the situation at the moment? Is it kind of temporary, like kind of stopgap to kind of just get you past the injuries, or do you think the squad in fact needs to kind of be enlarged in terms of numbers and experience?
It's
just before you answer, I'll let you know where my question's going, because you might be able to combine the answers.
At the moment, it's not too bad being a Liverpool fan. We're still top of the league, and we have 10 players who are out injured. And these are, I think at least 5 of them are first team starters. So once these players come back, it's a great team. So in hindsight, we're still top of the league. We're still kind of favorites to win. We still have a very good team on paper, despite the injuries. It's just that there are weaknesses that you can exploit. And that weaknesses is being exploited by certain teams who will press at you, right? So they'll press at. Now previously it used to be like you go after Trent because he's good going forwards, but he's horrible at the back. So you go after Trent's side, you attack the Trent Alexander-Arnold side, right? But now it's like you can go through the middle, because the midfield is a gaping hole there, because Fabinho's not being the defensive midfielder, he's playing as a central defender. You put in you start with Wijnaldum, Milner, and Henderson, which are you go like that three doesn't excite you, right? So you need some creativity in that. So I think the team is fine. I don't think we need an overhaul shift and all. I think we just need a couple of picks because of the unfortunate injuries, and these things happen in football. But it's good that we're still there, because honestly I thought we were just going to be down 3rd and 4th right at the moment.
I share your view. Just a quick one there, where it was a leading question. Where I was going with that was because I don't know recently, I haven't followed Liverpool closely in the last year, apart from being in awe, which is hard as a United fan, is you guys got a pretty strong academy. So I was wondering would that be the kind of more place to look as opposed to the market, if it is something that is to bolster a already phenomenal squad, right? As opposed to going to the market to get someone permanent who's going to cost.
You look at Rhys Williams. I think Rhys Williams is the promising defender instead of Nat Phillips. Nat Phillips has been around. He's played a few games before. Then he got loaned out, came back in. But I think Rhys Williams kind of looks like your mini Virgil van Dijk. He got like the similar kind of hairstyle and the goatee going on. But it's good to see players like that, being able to play or do training with players like Virgil van Dijk. It's going to help them improve. And I think any academy player at Liverpool at the moment will be a really good player because of the experience and the exposure that they will get with the first team squad. Right, you got players like James Milner who will still give a 19-year-old kid a run for his money if you were doing a 100-yard sprint. So that is going to make these kids step up their game, but you can't expect them to, at this point in time with this current Premier League where you play 2 games every week or 3 games every week kind of thing, and you expect these 18-19-year-olds to perform, because they had performed before in the Champions League game. They did really well against Ajax, and they did they played really well. These are kids, right? And go like, oh wow, these kids could actually do it. But when you play them 4 or 5 games in a row, you realize, okay, they're they're not cut out, right? So, but yeah, I mean, the Newcastle, I don't want to take the limelight from them. I think it's Liverpool did what they could do. Hopefully, every team will go through its down form, especially during the January, December, Christmas, all the way up to January and stuff. Every team will have this challenge, this blip. Liverpool is going through its blip. The only positive is that we've got players coming back and we're still top of the league. And we've got United at Anfield in 2 weeks' time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think Liverpool is
That'll be
going
a fun
through a
year.
blip. Unlike Arsenal, which we went through blip, 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 blip. Yeah.
Newcastle is not impressed.
No, I've got a lot to say. My perspective is
No.
slightly different. Bruce saw the matches coming up, right? He saw City, he saw Liverpool, so he decided to play chicken with both big teams, and he went for 5-4-1. All he did was tweak the midfield slightly. In fact, the Liverpool tweak was horrible because I'm not a big fan of Isaac Hayden. And he put Joe Linton in the midfield. This is what I was saying just now. They should put Almiron there. I think a 4-4-2 will work better against Liverpool in that game. Statistically, I think Liverpool didn't bring their game. Okay, if the one particular stat stood out for me, that's like a 52 plus clearances versus Liverpool's 19. It just shows Liverpool is trying to attack but not being successful, and Newcastle just faking it off, right? And we don't have the midfield to convert these chances. So Liverpool was trying to attack. I don't think they're doing the best of jobs. And once again, my perspective is Newcastle, we earned a point because Liverpool didn't play as well as they could be. I honestly believe that.
But Newcastle managed to subdue Salah. That's very important. Salah and Mane.
No. Yeah. Salah was slow. He had some chances, but Salah wasn't Salah. I mean, he wasn't the Salah from last season. He was quite.
So he was wrong, lah.
That was a low blow, man.
He didn't play the right way.
Cheeky.
No, in fact, like I said, Wilson forward is a good idea, right? But I always felt that Almiron behind Wilson is good. You have Wilson and Gale supported by Almiron, and they should. Okay, I need to refrain myself, but he needs to bring Matt Ritchie away from left back to the the left wing. What is he doing in the left back? I have no idea. I don't know. I'm not a football expert, but I don't know what Matt Ritchie is doing as left back versus City and Liverpool. I do not get it.
Maybe he's trying to be a Robertson, right? So be a attacking left fullback, right?
I mean,
an overlapper.
I wasn't just saying a minute ago about Fabinho should have been in the midfield instead of back. So I have no idea what Matt Ritchie is doing. Matt Ritchie used to create chances in the center. You play side by side with Shelvey, okay, and then do something. Shelvey be selfish and lazy as usual, right? But he'd have Matt Ritchie to pick up the pace. But now Matt Ritchie's on left back, and I have no idea what's going on. Right? Look at the stats. Another 24% possession, a fraction of Liverpool's touches. But if you look at Liverpool's stats, we had 2 shots on target, which is expected for Newcastle, but we had 4 shots on target for Liverpool in 90 over minutes. So
we didn't do anything in that game, though. We honestly didn't do anything.
I would sincerely ask, what is Liverpool doing? Because you had the chance to take 3 points. And my favorite joke after that game was that all the Liverpool guys are telling me if they lose by 2 points at the end of the season, they'll know who caused it. No, I'm serious. That was a good chance to go ahead, but I think you kind of dropped the ball with that one.
Yeah, it is. It was 2 points dropped. Not because we should have won the game, but I think we should have really upped our gears. I think Liverpool was stuck in like second gear until like the 80th minute, or when Thiago came on. But because only then like you could see them really actually trying to do something. But even then, I got this problem with Liverpool at the moment. The way that we play, even though it's 0-0 and it's like 85th minute, right? We still take it easy. Like we still, taking the Arsenal mantra, trust in the process that the goal will come. because like I was watching that game, and even in the 89th minute and the 90th minute, we were still trying to split the midfield open and then get the
Instead
pass
of the
going. And I'm
route
like,
one.
just go for it. Like, I mean, it gets quite frustrating that like still trying to play sexy football and stuff, but it's at some point in times you just want to like just go route one, because we used to do that last season. There was that goal where we scored against Man United, where Salah scored against Man United. It was an Alisson assist.
Yeah.
We need to do that more because it seems like that's just gone. I don't know why. Maybe because we're playing slightly different than we did last season. So I just feel like our plan B is a bit uncertain because of the injuries. I don't know. It's just
I
weird
might be a
time.
bit controversial with this, but I genuinely think in the top teams, of course, Liverpool being right there, a lot of this is psychological. So I've noticed the same thing you've said, Jeffrey. And I think it's a little bit of last year I think there was no chance in hell they were going to lose the league. They were just dead on, right? They willed the entire freaking universe. They were going to win it no matter what, right?
Yeah.
Then COVID came and tried to take that away from them, but yet they were, they kind of did that. And this season, it's a little bit of, don't worry, I'm sure we'll be fine. I think we'll win. Don't worry, but I'm sure it'll come. And whilst they took that attitude last year, it came because they were pushing. They were, they could have the confidence because they were trying. This year, I think it's a little, and I know this because of the early years when United first won the league after the 40-year drought, right? Was a little bit of, it's good. Of course, it's going to come. Just that we had a guy who'd seen it all at that point, Fergie under there, who kind of didn't allow that to happen. And I think it's just a matter of one game. Klopp will turn it around. He's a phenomenal manager. I think he's the best in the world at the moment. It'll just take 2 minutes in one game, and everything will change, and then Liverpool will be back on again, and then they'll just take off with it, right? They'll just fly forward.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to catch them.
It's interesting that Ryan mentioned that, because the way I see Liverpool play this game, it's very much like how City was playing last season and the previous season. They would really songluck and tapao one team 6-0, 7-0, and then the next game they would have 0-0 and 1-1. So I mean, it's pretty much like the way we see it. I mean, you look at the Liverpool last three games, right? You have a Newcastle Liverpool draw, and then Liverpool West Brom draw 1-1. But the game before that, they just demolished Crystal Palace 7-0, right? So if you look at the team that that Klopp deployed as well, it wasn't that much of an overhaul change. He just Salah didn't play. He had that what's our friend's name, Minamino, come in, right, for the Crystal Palace game, and then Salah just scored 2 goals after coming in because Crystal Palace was already so dejected. So coming into the Liverpool and West Brom game, which is the last match we're going to talk about, Liverpool were on a 7-game unbeaten run in all competitions, and they just tap out the heck out of Crystal Palace. Surely you would expect a win from this game, right?
Yeah, and especially with West Brom, right, being where they are in the league, and then with Liverpool being at Anfield, we haven't lost there for like 1 billion years or something like that. So you just felt like, okay, this is going to be another 7-8-0, and then you realize in the dugout you have Sam Allardyce. And if you have Sam Allardyce in the dugout, you just know you are in for a very, very tough game. I saw a stat that showed that Sam Allardyce has won more points at Anfield than the top 6 managers combined in the last 2 seasons. He's won 4 points at Anfield. The top 6 teams in the last 2 seasons combined, those managers combined, they only had 3 points. Sam Allardyce has 4 points at Anfield, so he knows how to play against Liverpool. And he's Sam Allardyce, right? I mean, his style of football will never change. Even if football were to be played in a different universe, it's still going to be the same.
Yeah.
I just want to bring up this just one stat, right, to just sort of underscore what you just mentioned. Now, Liverpool had 18 shots compared to West Brom's 6, right? And the number of shots on target for West Brom is 4. But take a look at Liverpool. They had 18 shots, only 3 on target. Do you think this is something to do with how Allardyce has set up his defense, or was this just wasteful, finishing from Liverpool?
I don't think there was wasteful finishing. I think we just didn't make a chance. Like there was no like a chance you go like, how did you miss that, right? I think there was none in that game. I just feel like we're not creating that clear-cut chances. You can look at the stats all day long. It'll tell you, all kinds. Arteta is a big fan of stats, right? I mean, he thinks football is being played on an Excel sheet. So, for
Yeah, I agree
for
with that.
Liverpool, I mean, at the end of the day, you look at the game, and if there is none. By the way, Tottenham Leeds. Tottenham has a penalty. Harry Kane is stepping up for a penalty.
Yeah.
Are you
and he's
watching
gonna-
two monitors right now, Jeff? That's
They've
crazy.
scored.
Yeah, I mean, this
They've
is.
scored.
I mean, yeah, he scored. It's a bit
Yeah,
delayed,
they
but yeah,
scored.
there we go. So Harry Kane
Yeah.
has scored. But I mean, going back to Liverpool, I just feel that we are not creating those chances. Last season we had those kind of superb passing, and then it was a tap in, or you have this brilliant run by Mane, or you get Salah doing out of nothing, like he just dribbles past 4 or 5 players, curls
Yeah.
one into the top corner. That seems to have disappeared. I think, going back to the point, I think this year we just kind of like, maybe the players are taking it for granted. Like, never mind, the goal will come. Just keep playing how it is, right? But yeah, I mean, West Brom, they started off with a 1-6-2 formation or something like that in the first minute. Like, God knows what they were trying to do in the first minute. You should see the screenshot. In the first minute, like I think 6 players were targeting Andy Robertson's side. And then the next thing, within 2 minutes of the game, they were parking the bus. And they had 7 players behind the ball at all times, or 8 players, behind the ball at all times, right? So it's like literally parking the bus. They rarely come out. So yeah, I mean, that game was just so frustrating because we were not creative enough, and we missed the Thiago. It's not like we had Thiago for a long time, but he's the kind of player that can open up defense. But even then, I think it goes back again to not having Fabinho as your defensive midfielder, because what it does, it's from the back again. Liverpool loves to play this where, if you see last season, it starts off with Virgil van Dijk. And the reason why, the attack can happen is because the ball comes to Virgil van Dijk and he can pick out one of those passes to the wings. And that's where the creative things happens, right? But now you can't do that because you need to play Fabinho back into the midfield. So the midfield loses that balance. And that's a huge problem because a lot of things come from Liverpool's, midfield. And we only have 3 midfield players, right? We play this 4-3-3 formation. So it's difficult when you have 3 players who just don't have that creative spark. They're just hard workers. Milner, Henderson, and Wijnaldum will run to Mars and come back, but they will never be able to open up a defense.
It's a very interesting observation, Jeff. Just a contrast, of course, like the United glory days that arguably Ferdinand used to do that, right? A fantastic kind of transition from defense to attack. Not so much maybe with his long passes, right? But just the transition would happen really quickly. And then now, not so much, but you can see a significant difference in United playing when Matic is there or not. He makes a huge difference, right? Because he just liberates the entire team. Everyone just goes. Pogba elevates his game the when Matic is there. He was doing that at Chelsea, he's doing that at United. And I think Liverpool, with even half of the injuries back, would have demolished West Brom, because one of the things they are phenomenal, at least I observed last year, was this, the way they executed this Pep Guardiola kind of mantra of, why do you pass the ball? You pass the ball to move the opponent. And they were very, very good at that, right? Because they were so fast. And between, and again, they had flavors of the Invincibles of Arsenal, which is you never knew where the goal was coming from. Everyone in the team scored, right? I don't know if Alisson scored, but you couldn't cover anything, right? Because everyone was playing. He did. Oh yeah, of course, yeah. I know, I remember. But it's
Sam Allardyce is renowned for a fan of negative football. We all know since Bolton days, and I'm not surprised that he parked his bus there. But you see, no matter how you park your bus, you will waste a lot of energy by just defending. Looking at how they were trashed by Leeds 5-0 at home the following game. And you can see that. I think they were also defensive minded. Even the strikers were defending. I watched the game as well. they were just at their own half. It was quite a boring game, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. West Brom's going to be that boring team, but I think that's
Yeah.
probably the only hope they have to staying up,
Yes.
because they just need help. But before that, West Brom did well against the top teams. They took points with City. They took points with United as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
They took points with. They did take points with Chelsea.
Chelsea, they did.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it was like everyone says, like, oh, West Brom's gonna be in for a beating. But I was like, if you look at some of the stats, you go like, hey, they were actually pretty good with some of the
They're
top
alright.
teams.
Yeah.
They
That's
were
right. And
alright.
guess who they play next? They play Arsenal next.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Hey, Jeremy.
And we hate playing against Sam Allardyce. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just wait for the Arsenal game and see if they take points from more than one of us. I mean, if they.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I said that wrong.
You know what, fellas? This conversation can go on for hours. On that note, let's see if we can take predictions. Let's start with the West Brom and Arsenal game. Jeremy, what do you think the scoreline is going to be for that one?
Okay. 1-1 would be the worst scoreline, and maybe 2-1 would be a good scoreline for Arsenal.
So that means West Brom wins 2-1 lah.
No, Arsenal.
Oh, Arsenal. I see.
Arsenal. Yeah.
Okay,
but
so you're going for a 2-1 Arsenal
why I
win.
say so, if you look at the past few games of West Brom, they will play well in one game and they play badly in another game. So the last game against Leeds, they got trashed. So most likely they might play well against Arsenal. So I really hope that's a draw. Yeah.
Fair enough. Sentiment actually does play a part now, since no fans can actually watch. So home and away, it's like it really doesn't matter, like Ryan correctly pointed out. Okay, so Jeremy mentioned 2-1 Arsenal win or a 1-1 draw. So we'll take a look for that match coming up. Let's go to Newcastle and Leicester. Mr. Dominic P, what's your take on this?
Oh, Newcastle Leicester is ridiculous. I'm not looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a loss. It looks like 2-1. If we can get more than 30% possession, we might edge it 1-0, 2-1. But right, the current Newcastle game is in the stats, really. So if we keep going for a 20% possession, Leicester will destroy us, I promise you. We're not going to have one in return. It's going to be like 2-0 or 3-0. Okay? If we got 2 shots on targets, 3 shots on targets with 20% possession, it's going to be a 2 or 3-0 loss. Right? Best case scenario, we're looking at 2-1. Okay? A remarkable game, maybe like 40% possession, we're going to get maybe 3-1. But we're not going to click. We won't keep a clean.
I feel the pain, man, Dom.
Which
I
means
feel so
3-0
bad,
loss.
man.
Okay.
I feel so bad that he's gone.
14% possession. I mean, that's
14%
staggering for me.
possession.
How do you-
I mean, especially when I just looked while you're on this, I just looked the these ridiculous Opta stats, right? The top passes in the league are Liverpool at 10,900 passes. And I think Newcastle not even in the top 15, I think.
Wait, okay, since you guys like jokes, right?
Newcastle's
you guys
about
like
120.
Over the last 2 seasons.
No,
Sorry.
since you guys like jokes, right? Let me tell you a funny joke. The City versus Newcastle game, right? City had 862 passes. Newcastle had 272.
Holy
Okay,
crap.
touches, 1,000 touches versus 425 touches. This is a 75 possession game versus Newcastle. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. It's like we're watching City play the game. That's what we're doing. So if
Yeah.
Steve Bruce doesn't up his game, okay,
Mm.
maybe we need a German. We seriously need German coach. Like we need some German football going on, right? But
Thomas
we have.
Tuchel.
Yeah.
But right now,
You-
it's if you're a Newcastle fan, it's a terrible time because that literally is no hope. Every game we hope that the other team plays badly, okay? Except for so many games. Only the Newcastle West Brom game, Newcastle actually brought their A game. Okay,
Mm.
it was a good game. The one where Gale scored the winner.
Yep.
That was a solid game. We actually played well. West Brom wasn't shit. They were actually strong, okay? But we were a little bit better. We edged them. Every other game, even, every other game, the moment the opponent plays even a little bit better, we're gone. It's that bad.
Please
So
play
I think
badly against Arsenal. We're going to play you twice in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. That's definitely a different conversation for another episode. But let's just go through. I want to see what Vernon's prediction is for the season of the year, starting off with Chelsea and Manchester City. Vernon.
Wow, I'm absolutely looking forward to this game, but based on stats and form and stuff, it's kind of hard to predict. I think we may lose 2-0, or it could be a 2-1 win. So, but for anything, none of the past 10 meetings have been a draw, so don't expect a draw. It's not going to be a draw. But the thing is, Chelsea has only picked up 4 points from 5 games, and Man City has not lost in 10 games in a row already. But the stats say that there's a little bit of hope. The stats say that Man City has lost 26 Premiership League games versus Chelsea, more than any other side. So there's a little bit of hope. I don't know. Could be a 2-1 win.
I don't want to say hope in this context, but I just read news this evening that 5 City players have been quarantined because down of COVID.
Yeah, they're a
and
depleted
Chelsea's
side, but
literally
I
got a
mean,
full squad, right?
yeah, but I mean, it's never a thing to underestimate Man City. Come on, it's just not. It's just not a thing. But let's hope that Chelsea brings their A game, and I hope they do, because it's going to be quite an exciting match, I think.
Yep. So you say a 2-1 win to Chelsea?
2-1 win or 2-0 loss. I don't know. Okay, let's put it at 2-1.
No draw.
2-1 win. I'm optimistic. Yeah, 2-1. Yeah,
I'll go for
win.
the optimism. All right, man. Let's wrap it up with Jeff, Southampton. What are your take on that match?
Ooh.
Southampton are a great team.
Tough teams. Yeah.
I mean, Southampton is like a mini Liverpool or like a Liverpool's academy. So, if any great players that perform in this game, chances are they'll be wearing Liverpool jerseys in a couple of seasons' time. It's basically a call out for, it's a call out for the Southampton players. But I think Liverpool will get this right. I don't see Liverpool dragging on this blip for any longer. I think they will have another blip later in the season. Sometime end of February or so, we might have another blip. But I think this is a game we will win not so comfortably. We'll probably do a 3-1 kind of victory where the last 2 goals will come in the 70+ minute or so. But yeah, we'll get this right. I'm more interested in the game after the Southampton.
Yep.
That for me is going to be first time in many years where finally this rivalry between Liverpool and Man United will be taking
finally.
place. Yeah, I mean,
Finally,
30 years.
Yeah.
It's been 30 years since we were in this position. Even when we had, we were like close to finishing second, it was Man City that we were chasing.
Yeah.
And then the season a few seasons before that it was again, when Brendan Rodgers had his time, was also Man City. And then beyond that was United all the way at the top. Whenever we played against United.
There was a season, I don't know if Benitez or Brendan Rodgers, where you guys were second almost the whole way or the other way around to United,
Benitez.
and then just dropped it, right? And but that's not kind of smoke any crack, right? I'm a United fan, and I'll tell you this: we are miles away from where Liverpool is. It burns me to say it, right? But the stats don't lie, right? The stats don't lie. But the difference is this, though, Jeff, right? Which is just a quick update. Son has scored, 43rd minute, it's 2-0 to Leeds.
Yes, my captain.
Don't say that on a show where you're the Arsenal supporter, dude. You're saying
Exactly, you're rooting for the sworn enemy. My goodness.
Wrong show.
Sorry.
But the United thing is this, right? Even if we come close to winning, right? There's a a very interesting interview with Mourinho when he was in United, press conference, sorry. And the one where he walked out when he went three times, three innings, and kind of walked out the pitch. And he actually said, "Do you want me to win, or do you want me to win beautifully?" And that is the moment I realized, as much as I respect Mourinho till this day, he didn't get United, because at United and like Liverpool and like Chelsea, that isn't an option. It is not one or the other. You win and you win well, right? And at the moment, we are going from one game we play beautifully, the next minute we grind it out. And as a fan, I'll take a win. But I'm definitely not happy with a win if we don't play well, right? So and I think I echo your thing. I think Liverpool are going to win the next game because they're not going to come with the back foot into the United game. They're going to come with the front foot. And
I think if Southampton play well, they may actually nick a draw. If Liverpool don't actually bring their A game, they can actually lose to Southampton, and that would be set up beautifully for the next game, because Liverpool will be seething. It's a gaping wound, right? And they will take it to United.
I can't envision a world where we will be hosting United when we are behind United in this current.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, lah. United have done surprisingly well to get to this stage.
Yeah.
I mean,
thanks to only one person, Bruno. Bruno did everything. Seriously,
it's Bruno
Yeah.
United. Seriously, right?
Exactly.
It was Ole's job was on the line after the PSG game, and got knocked out, and they were horrible. I mean, United play well in moments, and it's just so happened that Lady Luck is on their side. These moments are the decisive moments, and they are scoring goals. But I actually think, right, United are not that far away. I think it is like Liverpool's issue, where when we went out to buy Virgil van Dijk and then we bought Alisson 6 months after that, it changed the entire team. I think United need that. Maguire is not a world-class defender for me. He needs to go.
Agreed.
I think if you can find a replacement, and I think the goalkeeper is also a little bit suspect. I think De Gea
it's strange at the moment.
probably passes. But you have a great replacement in Henderson. I think he's a fantastic goalkeeper. I think you just need one player. To be honest, I think it's just one player, one world-class player.
It's a personality that we need.
Yeah, you need. Maybe it's a Ronaldo coming back to Old Trafford.
Yeah, I know. I'll take it, man. I'll take him if he was a ball boy at Old Trafford.
But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that game. Liverpool 2-0, 3-1 against Southampton, and then Liverpool for a 2-0 with Man United as well.
Oh, on that note, because yes, I just like to say thank you so much, guys. You guys have been really, really insightful and entertaining. Just a little bit over our time for our first live show for 1 hour. So a short apology to all our viewers out there. We just went over time a little bit, but let me just tell you, if you'd like to see more of these guys talk about your everyday bola at Mamak, or football at the coffee shop, let us know in this particular episode. Just comment it and say you'd like to see more live shows like this, whether it's on football or sports in general. Let us know, and we'll try our best to make it happen. For our panelists, Dominic Key, Jeff Sandhu, Vernon Chan, and Jeremy Lim, and from my co-founder and I, Ryan, Calvin Simmons, thank you so much, y'all, for tuning in. Have a great evening ahead.
Happy New Year, guys.
Ciao, guys. Bye.